10:40. This is the first evening I have felt like getting back on the internet because I have had a monster stomach flu after all the heart issues. It's just like, hey, I already got a terminal diagnosis. You want to just take me now, Jesus? So it's been a rough couple weeks for me, rough few weeks for me, but everybody has something to whine about. So there's my whine. I just wanted to get on here. And if this is a different view for y'all, it's because I'm in the fur room. And the fur room is my daughter's old bedroom that my husband stores everything for his fur sales in. So I'm sitting here, next to a crossbow, and next to garment quality raccoon and beaver hides. So, hi. I'm sure if some of y'all hate me now, y'all really hate me. Hi, Denise. But I've been kind of quiet and just kind of responding to the feedback I've been getting from the videos. And hi, Clara. And so while I had the strength this evening, and I've actually ate mashed potatoes today. I'm so excited, mashed potatoes. But I wanted to say the consensus of a lot of the comments, a lot of the negative comments, start out with but, or I mean no disrespect, or this may come off wrong. All of that means I'm too scared to act on anything I see. I go through life with my eyes closed because I am scared to care about other people. I can't speak because if I'm wrong, I may be damned by someone. But if I'm right, I could potentially save a life. But if I'm wrong, I could ruin my own. Wouldn't you hate to go through life so scared to speak up when someone you know is possibly hurting or experiencing something painful, or possibly needing a hug, or possibly just needing someone to say, I love you, or someone to say, are you okay? Do you need help? Because working for over a decade with criminals and youth that have heavy addiction issues, a lot of mental health illness issues, and a lot of violent outbursts, the one thing that I realized they all needed more than anything was somebody to say, how can I help you? What's going on? Talk to me. Because those are the things that people never say to people in trouble, especially people that are famous and in trouble. Because people that are famous and in trouble, people are deathly scared because, oh my gosh, what if I miss my chance to be noticed, to get a call out, to get, some kind of, energy from this person? Well, what if what you said could have touched their heart so purely that it changed their life for the better? What if the information and the energy that you gave out changed their entire being and their whole world for the better? Why are we so scared to communicate in this nation? Why? We've allowed people to steal our vocabulary, change our vernacular, change the way our society intercedes with each other. And we just sit here and go, oh, this is normal. It is abnormal. We are herd animals. We require each other's love, sustenance, and energy. And so for you all to sit here and go, oh, I think you need to mind your business. Well, minding your business is how people get to early graves. Okay? So as someone who has worked heavily in this field for a long time and studied to have a master's level in psychology, let me tell you that avoidance is not bravery. Avoidance is cowardice. And so if you really care, you would say something. I'm not saying be mean. I'm not saying go beyond questioning if they're okay, or going beyond saying, hey, what can I do for you? I'm not saying calling somebody out and go stupid crazy and start talking about 3-letter agencies and RICO laws and all that bullshit. We all know what it is. It's bullshit. I'm saying care enough to see a human being struggling. Look at videos and say, if I were acting in that way, what mindset would I be in? What would I be going through? And what would I need that no one knew I needed? And then try to offer that to somebody that you see going through that. It's all about intervention, but it's intervention done with kindness and compassion. It's intervention done with the root cause of the intervention is to show love and to hopefully elongate this person's life in a healthier manner than what they're in now. It's not about being right. It's not about being wrong. It's not about calling someone out. It's not about being hoity-toity and smart and educated. The stupidest person can give a hug. It is that simple sometimes. But what I see in today's society are people that are scared to interact, people that are scared of each other, people that are scared of lawsuits, scared of creating anger with somebody. They don't know how to interact anymore. You don't know how to interact with your fellow man. What are you, a walking alien in this world? We're all people. Get out there and know your people. You know, Diane says you should never be bullied for trying to help someone. Well, I'm not really being bullied. I'm just running into a lot of ignorance. And ignorance is sadly what is crashing our nation, crashing the world. It's crashing the world. And so we've got to learn to love each other above ourselves sometimes. Sometimes we have to look at someone in pain and go, oh, you know something? I'm doing good today. You're in pain. You go above me. What do you need? I'm good today. How can I help you? It's not always about you. So when we see people that are struggling, we should want to intervene. We need to learn how to intervene appropriately. And it seems like that's the hardest thing is people don't know how to interact appropriately anymore. If you ask a question or you have concern, you're a nosy little bee. No, you're a compassionate person that loves thy neighbor and sees someone in stress or emotional distress. How many people, had someone intervened, wouldn't have jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge? How many people, if someone had intervened, wouldn't have driven their vehicle into a body of water for other people to find them decades later? How many people, if somebody had just intervened and hugged them, wouldn't have swallowed a mouthful of pills at night? The human heart is the strongest thing we have. That energy that we can share is the most life-saving, critical energy that we can share with another human being. And the fact that you all seem to be too scared to speak from your heart tells me that we've got a generation that is going to destroy our world very quickly. The next couple of generations coming up, they don't know how to speak from their heart. Everything is so litigious that, oh, we don't speak from our heart. We have to speak from our mind. Well, the sad thing is y'all are about as inept in both. I can't be any more upfront than that. Because the cognitive dissonance you are showing in saying that I'm a good fan, but I'm going to cheer on this bad behavior. I'm a great person, but I'm going to rally this boy into this struggle that he seems to be having problems with. I'm going to say, heck yeah, you do your thing, even though we know doing his thing is normally when he's spinning out of control or having a huge emotional encounter that he needs true help with. Thinking that you're a good person does not make you a good person. Your actions and your behavior make you a good person. When those two things don't align, it's called a cognitive dissonance. That is what most of the world is stuck in right now. So when I say I'm a good person, but I shut my mouth and I don't talk about the things that can help and benefit the people around me, I'm not a good person. It's an untrue statement. And I think a lot of people are so okay with living within an untrue statement and kind of building up a little wall around it and going, oh, but it is the truth. Look, it is the truth. That we've just kind of seen our world crumble. We don't care about people. We care about what people can do for us and what they can do to us. But we don't care what we can do for them or to aid them, because the first two take precedent. The first two are scarier. We're scared of loving people. We're scared of having attachments to people. We're scared of helping people. We're scared of touching hearts. We're scared of showing love. We're scared of setting boundaries. We're scared of all the healthy things that we need to know how to do to function well and have an appropriate and happy society. Gee, I can't imagine why it's crumbling down around us. I can't imagine why our congressional leaders just about got into a fist fight today over a speaker position that should be difficult to obtain and should take a lot of debate. But I mean, coming to blows and dragging some guy out with security with his hand over their mouth. I mean, seriously, and sadly, yeah, our politicians, our congressmen, And a lot of people in positions of power don't show positive role modeling. They don't show you how to be a good person. And, if I had the means and I was healthy enough, I would do some online classwork and I would do some online study work to help people just learn to be okay with themselves. But the thing is if you're so adamant that I'm wrong about something that you also probably have absolutely fewer educational clues and context than I have, how do you go through the rest of your life when people try to give you feedback, criticism, loving remarks? How do you tackle your world? Does it crumble? Does it crumble? I mean, because some of y'all have crumbled just because I've had an opinion and a concern. So, does your world crumble when other people have opinions and concerns about you? Do you go into this hibernation, critical, I'm against the world and I need to attack mode? Because burrowing up and hibernating and hiding from it and then attacking and lashing out is the most unhealthy form of taking care of this. What you need to do is do some immersion therapy. You need to put yourself in some group settings to where you give feedback. Put yourself in a church group, a youth group, a bowling league, something where you have to give feedback, to where you may not be number one, you may not be the best on the team, you may not be the most profitable employee, you may not be the most profitable player, but you're part of the group, but you have to talk. And you may not be number one, but you're in there. And you find your standing and you learn to talk, communicate, negotiate, and find out that being priority number one is not always the best thing. Just being a priority to someone is a great thing. So I've been a little frustrated with some of the feedback, and I know that a lot of his audience is very young, very young, very young, and very inexperienced at life. But boy, you sure wouldn't say it. You wouldn't think that the way that they attack people. And just FYI, for all y'all that want to be so far at my butt, my doctor would like for you to check for polyps. It would help because I really don't like those exams they do every year because no, it's okay. If y'all want to, while you're up there, just check for polyps. It'd be handy for me. But I think it's hilarious because I understand that that comes from fear. Fear, lack of motivation, lack of understanding society, lack of understanding yourself, and lack of understanding how a society functions through communication and love. And if you can't look at someone who you think is struggling and say, hey, are you okay? Are you struggling? Can I help you? This scares me. This worries me. And everyone's like, well, if you're so close, okay, listen, when you start off with that sentence, you didn't watch either of the videos because the way that Ron and I have communicated have been a tit for tat on YouTube. He has always instigated the IG videos. Otherwise, my messages just get lost in the shuffle because he gets 50,000 from everybody else trying to blow smoke up his butt, and I understand that. So the way that we normally communicate is I toss up a video, and if he wants to talk about it, he goes to the comment section and then finds me on Instagram. So I'm following the protocol that we have set. Now, I have not said anything horrible about the boy. I have specifically pointed out his own words, his own statements, and then I have given my perception of the psychological behavior that could potentially be behind this. I have clarified both so that you can understand. I am hoping that this is just a spat, but the fact that it is it's a reoccurring issue concerns me greatly. And I want him to know there is help out there for this should he think he needs it. And that if he can't think he can find it on his own, I'm willing to help him find it. Because sometimes the scariest thing for those people that we put on pedestals to do is ask for help. Because everyone thinks they're perfect and everyone thinks they have all the answers and everyone thinks that they have got life figured out, but they're just human beings. They eat shit and piss just like the rest of us. And sometimes they don't know which end is up either. And sometimes they just need a loving heart to say, hey, you okay? Do you need a hug? Do you need help? Do you need to talk this out? Do you need to go to somebody who has maybe a career path and training and education in this that could maybe put you in the right direction? None of that is mean. None of that is demeaning. but it is full of respect and love and accountability, because as I was trained, I become someone who, if I see someone in distress, if I were to ignore that person and something occur, I would hold myself accountable. So it's kind of like when you're trying to be a mandatory reporter, it kind of expands into when you see people struggling, you kind of have to reach out and help. And you have to do it very carefully and very kindly and very lovingly, but you have to do it. Because what if no one ever reached out to people? What if no one ever got the love they needed? What if no one ever got that one person that said, hey, buddy, don't jump. Hey, buddy, don't take those pills. Hey, buddy, don't make that decision. Hey, buddy, somebody loves you. Stay on this planet. Let's try one more day. What if? So, what if I piss Ryan Upchurch off? He'll scratch his butt and get happy. He's a good old boy. He can figure it out. I got lots, lots of faith in the boy. But I also know he's struggling right now. I can see it through the inconsistencies that he's showing in some of his videos and the fact that he's kind of blipped off right now. And I just want him to know that somebody loves him enough to say, hey, something, I'm seeing some different behavioral patterns from you. It concerns me. And if I can help you in any way, I will. And I'm not going to get on here and be like certain people and be like, call out 3-letter agencies. That's a bunch of bullcrap. That is a bunch of bullcrap. The boy runs an industry, keeps hundreds of people employed, and has a lot of stress on his shoulders. I think if he was that deep in something, we would already have seen bigger hiccups. But I just want to say, if something is going on or if we're at the cusp of making a bad decision, I'm here. I'm here. Let me help you not make a bad decision. Let me help you find better options, better decisions, better ideas. Brainstorm. Let's just get together for shits and giggles and write down a list of other actions that we can take that may be a little bit more positive. It doesn't have to be, something scary. It doesn't have to be a therapy session. It can just be talking to someone that cares. So, I don't know. Diana, I don't know. I try not to listen to anything unless he says it. And so that's why I always try to use his words and never kind of go by the rumors. So I don't really know what occurred. All I know is it must have been a doozy. And that must be hurting everyone. And so I would like to, if he's struggling, he's hurting that hard and he's struggling and he's not in the healthiest spot, it can be difficult when you are someone that is so prominent to ask for help. It's very difficult because everybody looks at you like, you're it on a stick. But he's just a human being and he's going through something that most of us would still be in bed, not able to move and talk about. We'd still be sucking snot through our nose and crying. But everyone is pushing him, and distraction and deflection, they're great coping tools in some forms, but not when you use them all the time, every time, consistently, and you don't handle the problem that always gets us here. And we're doing this a few times. So I'd like to see him learn some healthier coping skills, learn when he's overusing certain coping skills to understand that I'm not actually coping, I'm deflecting, I'm distracting myself, and move forward from this because I want him to have the happiest life possible. And this cycle, obviously, is not doing good things for him. And if you can sit there and tell me it's doing good things for him, you're lying to yourself. Because this is not doing good things for him. This sadness that he's going through every 12 to 20 months is horrific. It takes a toll on the body, the brain, everything. So we have to care enough to speak up and say, hey, and that goes for everyone. It doesn't just go for famous people. It goes for your friend that lives next door, your neighbor, your classmates, your friends that are in your outer circle, but you still care about, strangers that you meet on the street. Sometimes you just feel the compulsion to say, hey, are you okay? We need to start following our hearts again instead of trying to be little litigious buttholes. That's what I wanted to say. So this has been the first day yesterday. The last 2 days have been really sick. Right after I did that last video, I got very, very ill and have spent 2 days in bed. So this is like my first few minutes out of bed. And I wanted to come on here. I know I look like trash, but I don't care. What I have to say is important. And I wanted to get on here and say, hey, Thinking is pattern. We've gotten to a wrong pattern of thought. We're thinking constantly about how what we say may hurt us instead of how what we say may help someone else. We're constantly worried about our own ass, but we're not worried about anybody else's. But the thing is if society and the earth and this humanity is going to survive, we have to really worry about each other. So effectively, your ass is the equivalency of everyone else's ass. And you need to worry about everybody else's ass too. Because we all make up society. So I would really like for people to start looking at other people and noticing when they have different emotional patterns, when they have different behaviors, when they may be crying out for help. Ask them. If you're wrong, you're wrong, but they know that you still cared enough to ask. It's going to make your relationship better, stronger. They're going to know you care a little bit more. It's not going to be weird. It's not going to be awkward. You would not believe how amazing it is when you're having a rough day and someone cares enough to say, "Are you okay? Is there anything I can do to help?" Those two sentences can make the clouds break and the sun shine for someone that's truly struggling, because they feel so isolated and alone that they don't think anyone sees them or their pain. Just acknowledging pain and saying, "Hey, I see it," can do a wonder for people that are sometimes too proud to say they're struggling, too paranoid to say they're struggling, or too scared to say they're struggling. And you've got to think fame adds a layer of, a whole layer of emotional on top of everything that we can't even begin to understand. So just start thinking about things in a different way. Start thinking about other people as just as important as you. What would you want someone to do for you in that regard? What if you were truly struggling? What if you were truly about to make a bad decision? What if you were truly going to do something that you could not take back? What would you want someone to do for you? Because that's really what we need to start doing for each other. And the people that come on here and be mad, everybody, y'all have been very sweet, but never get hostile on YouTube because of me. Don't ever defend me. Never waste your breath or your time defending me. Because I think that your time on YouTube, if you can be positive and find positive people, it should be 100% positive. And do not ever think you have to defend me from anyone. Let them say what they need to say. They can say it and get it out of the system and go on. If I think I need to respond, or if I think I need to block them, I will do so. But I don't want you changing your day, your path, your emotional path, your well-being, taking on a burden for me. It's my burden. I'll handle it. It's okay. A lot of people have called me every name in the book. And seriously, only if you can spell it does it hurt. So get your dictionaries out. But other than that, just start to love each other. Just start to love each other. What does the world lack? The world lacks love and understanding. The world lacks boundaries that help us love and understand. And the world lacks people saying, "Hey, you know something? I'm seeing some inconsistencies and I'm concerned." And that's a great boundary to have with friends, because then friends know, "Hey, you know something? If I'm inconsistent, I know that I have someone that will see that boundary and go, oh, they crossed that boundary. I need to check on my friend. I need to check on my loved one. I need to check on my neighbor." It could be the cashier at the Save-A-Lot. I would say Walmart, but we all do our own scanning there now these days, don't we? So just always be sure to understand that trying to protect someone in pain is not always helpful. Sometimes protecting people in pain is blocking them from the aid that they need. So that's about all I wanted to say. I don't have a lot of strength to do a whole lot more today. But I see a huge need for communication and to revamp the way that we discuss. Yes, enabling is not good. And by justifying his behaviors and love bombing him when he's in these distress states, it really creates this, catch-22, where he's having probably the most upset time of his life, but he's getting the most interaction from his fans. That's confusion. That's confusion. And in a way, it's enabling, because it says, hey, the more upset you are, the more we want to interact. And that that creates a very unhealthy dynamic. We want to interact when he's solid, good, doing well, and putting out good music and in a good place. We don't want to interact and jump in and push him over any emotional edges or make anything worse. That's why I'm so soft spoken, careful what I say, and respectful when I speak. And the people that want to say I'm disrespectful, I know they've not watched my videos, so that's okay. Um, codependency may be something that we need to talk about in the future. It's it's something that's really hard for people to understand. But if you've been a horse owner, you know all about codependency. When you take that one buddy sour horse out to trail riding, you have to deal with them all day. You know all about codependency, don't you? Yes. There's a great way to talk about codependency and use animal behavior, and people don't get as offended saying, "Well, they're talking about me," when I'm actually talking about a horse. So we may do a fun codependency lesson here in a couple of days. Um, and it may just be an odd way for you to learn about codependency without taking it personally. And that's another issue, is everyone takes everything personally this year. I'm all the time saying, "You almost happy as that fat girl in that mirror eating a cupcake." Oh, shoot, that's me. I will put myself and say things about myself. So it always makes me, I laugh at the people that try to knock me down with negative things. And that's because I know my value, I know my worth. And when other people refuse to understand anyone else has worth, is because they've not yet found their own. So think about that. Before you say something really nasty to somebody trying to say you have no worth, the only people that try to counter people's worth are people that haven't found their own. So make sure that you are striving to understand yourself, love yourself, put yourself in good positions, good places with good people, and make sure that when you interact, it's a positive interaction and you do it out of love. And let's learn how to communicate, have a dialogue and negotiation in this country again. And just the fact that we're talking about this stuff is helping other people, not just Ryan. It's helping anyone else that's experienced this, that tumbles across these videos. And it helps them know, hey, there are a plethora of ways that I can reach out for help. And if you live in any southeastern area, you can either, if you have insurance, you can call the number on the back of your insurance card for any behavioral health or mental health or any kind of aid that you may need. You can call the National Suicide Hotline. You can contact a lot of your local areas will have like a human resources agency, like the Upper Cumberland Human Resources Agency or the East Tennessee Resource Agency. And they can help you find free or sliding scale counseling that will fit into your income. And so there are lots of ways to get the help you need without fearing the financial repercussions, or for a lot of people, the scary, emotional, what they think will be societal repercussions. No one is going to think bad of you if you ever help yourself. They're going to think, gee, there's a competent person that knows themselves and asks for help. And they're going to respect that. I've never seen anyone disrespect anyone that's asked for help. And I supervised murderers for a long time. So I've seen a lot of people that had to ask for help. So always be brave enough to ask for help. And if you live in an area where you're having a hard time finding help, toss a comment, email me at watersworkload@gmail.com. We will do a rundown of the area and see what kind of programs are there. Now, I'm not working anymore. This is not medical advice. This is just someone that's been in the career zone, has worked in it, has the education and training, and I want to be helpful. So if you're struggling and you need help, let me help you find resources. It's that easy. I have a lot of networking that I still have my thumb in. So if I can be helpful, let me be helpful. But it comes down to caring about each other, caring for each other, and making sure that we don't completely switch the words care and hate. Because I think in our society we kind of have. We automatically go toward hate before we go through care, because we automatically see people as possible speed bumps, possible issues, instead of possibilities and opportunities. And that is a very deceptive way of seeing society and all the good things that can hold for you as an individual. So I just hope this gives a few people some different things to think about. So I know that there's been a lot of people open up and talk about things that have created other little spin-off conversations, and a lot of people are finding people that have been through similar things and getting help and talking things through. And that's great. And, the more people you can talk to and the greater wealth of knowledge you can gather about what you and others have similarly gone through, the better you're going to be. I mean, communication is always key. So, let's keep this conversation going. And I hope as I get to feeling better the next couple of days, I ate mashed potatoes this evening and they stayed with me. So, praise Jesus. But I'm thinking that I should feel better tomorrow and have a little bit more strength. But I do feel much better tonight. We need to stop being butthurt about everything. Ain't that the daggum truth? I had a mare that every time I would go to the field to get her, she'd just lay them ears back. I'd be like, yo, hooch, come on, you old hooch. And as soon as I opened the trailer door, she wanted to go with me. But that first response had to be absolute hate. And because of that, when it came time to thin the herd, guess who I sold first? I sold the one that every time I went to the field and, yay, come here. I sold that one. Do you want to put yourself in that position when you have a friend group? If you are that person that constantly, is the one that remarks with hate or responds with hate or responds with indifference or has the role of the instigator and the antagonist, you do know that you put yourself on the chop block. And that is going to affect you as you go through your life. And if you learn to interact and integrate and associate and communicate, it can change your relationships through your whole life. That mare went through like 6 owners in 4 years. I kept tabs on her. And it was just, she wasn't a bad riding mare. She wasn't a bad riding mare. She was a good riding mare. She got you'd have to tie a ribbon sometimes in her tail on certain trail rides just to let people know she might kick. She's a little, but she wasn't like super aggressive. She wouldn't charge at you and bite. She just did not always meet you in a graceful manner. And buddy, that was a wall I had to hit with that horse because all my others were like, oh, there's mama, here we come. My dad's a blacksmith. I trained horses for a long, long time, halter broke show cattle, had sheep, did everything. So, if you don't think presentation of yourself is a big thing, look at that field of horses. The first one that lays the mirrors, backs, and bears teeth, you will sell it first. You will get rid of it first. Human beings are herd animals. Guess what we don't like in the herd? We don't like the ones that are nitpicky, inconsistent behavior, hard to get along with, hard to communicate with. That's why we look for a strong alpha, and then we find a herd that can congeal, and then we push out the problems. That's how wild horses work, and that's how they maintain their healthy family boundaries and their healthy family communication. And to be quite honest, I think wild horses that are still on the Bureau of Land Management have healthier relationships than humans do at this time. Just to be quite honest, I think they do. So yeah, defensive posturing is just saying, I know I'm wrong, but I'm going to hope you don't see it. Or I'm going to hope you're too scared to see it. And I'm like, dude, I'm a heifer. I'm not too scared to see anything. So, but defensive posturing is very annoying, and it will cause you a lot of hate, and it will cause you a lot of animosity, and it causes you a lot of lost love and lost opportunities in life. And it's just sometimes being aware that you're doing it. Just being aware that you're doing it. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I didn't really want to hide in the fur room and talk to you as much, but it gives me a chance to show you my hubby's work. So here's a raccoon pelt. Soft as butter. My hubby does good work. My hubby's a trapper and tanner. If you want to follow my hubby, his channel is Trapper Dave Waters. So he just started it to follow this year's trapping season. He's just getting to where he can talk good to the camera. Cracks me up, but he's a solid guy. If you want to go watch that, guys, if you're more inclined to do manly things, go do manly things, follow my husband. But it's just about understanding yourself. And I think a lot of us don't understand ourselves, and therefore we don't understand others. And therefore it's like this whole missed high five when we try to interact. We can repair society. We can, but we need to work harder at it. And we need to be aware of how we need to work harder at it. So, oh, you got thrown, you never could get back on? I've been thrown, dragged through fences, rolled over. And I got up one time. The only time I've ever been knocked out, I had a big sorrel horse that I was riding down for a girl in 4-H. She was too much of a pansy to ride her own horse down for show season. But he would always throw at least one fit every spring. And so I was riding him. We'd had him for at least 30 days. He had actually been really good. I thought, hey, I got him through this spring without his normal "I'm going to kill you" session. Hey, we're making progress. And I just barely upped his feed because I was riding him quite a bit, and I needed to keep him in show season quality. I upped his feed just a little bit, the protein percentage. Bad idea. And took him on that second round around the arena, and I felt a little woohoo in his back end. I thought, oh no. And I counted 5 big frog hops, and I thought, well, he's either going to stop or we're going to go through that fence. So one of the two. And then I lost my left stirrup, and I thought, well, peace, I'm out of here. I'm going to bail off of him. So I bailed off. Well, then when I bailed off, he kicked and he caught me like at my knees and spun me. And so I landed on my head instead of my butt. Y'all, my butt's paid to be landed on. My head was not. I got a big old butt. I got a small little head. And 2 years before, about a year before, I'd had my 4 front teeth knocked out by a limousine bull that's heartbreaking. So I have 4 fake front teeth. And so I start to get up, and then the world goes black, and I fall down. It's the only time I've ever been knocked out. When the bull headbutted me, I didn't even get knocked out. And my dad was whittling on the bench watching me ride this horse. And I remember coming to and spitting because I had dirt in my mouth. And all I saw was my mother's feet. She had ran from the house to the barn to the arena. And she was like, oh no, more teeth. And I was like, no, dirt. And I got up and was trying to pull my britches up, and I was walking back to the horse because, by golly. And Dad was like, nope, we're not going to try that one again. He was like, that was a bit much. He was like, that was a bronc. He's like, there's something wrong with this horse. And I was like, no, I'm getting back on him. They had to drag me into the house. I refused to go to the hospital. I'm pretty sure I had a concussion, but I refused to go to the hospital. And gosh, his name was Starlight. They should have named him Satan. Don't tell y'all what I called him behind closed doors. I think I was pushing 18 because I was pushing 17 when I got my teeth knocked out. So I was pushing 18 when I had him. So it was the spring before the summer I would have turned 18. But I had ridden down horses for years. I'd trained broke horses for years, and my dad was a blacksmith, so it was just something I grew up doing. And my dad was on the bench though. Still, when I would come to, Mom was standing over me. He was still on the bench whittling, going, "Get up!" Not excited at all. So. No, it wasn't a very pleasant experience when it was a limousine bull. And what we had done was the school that I worked for was an agricultural school, and they had asked me, because I worked and showed cattle and showed limousine cattle, they had asked me to help pick out a herd and 2 bulls, and then to see which bull was going to be the best quality for breeding, and to get the school started in the herd. The school, 20 years later, is still doing a herd and doing actually a heifer program with UT right now. I'm actually getting to write stories about it for the newspaper. It's very fun because you see how your life kind of goes on. But and I had gotten really comfortable with this little bull. He was about probably 600 to 800 pounds. He was bigger than normal. We had to let him fill out because both of them were so similar. And I was looking for the one that had more growth room in his chest and was going to have just a little bit more substantial framework on him, because we needed that because we had some bigger cows and fewer heifers. And so I had gotten really comfortable with him, taught him to lead, and I had gotten to where I tied him at the center pole of the barn to teach him to straight tie, and he was doing really well. But, several times a day I'd bring him 2 5-gallon buckets of water to drain because it was hot in summer, and I took very good care of my animals. So if I wasn't out working him, letting him in the trough, then I was bringing him 2 5-gallon buckets of water just every little whip stitch because he's a big bull. And he just knew I got too used to him. He knew I got too comfortable. And when I went to sit those buckets down and put my head down, he just come up, caught me with his pole, and took all my 4 front teeth out, pushed 2 of them back up in, and the others broke out. And I went to the pump, and pumped water and washed my mouth out. Finished feeding the heifers, because you don't leave your heifers unfed. Finished feeding the heifers, went home, and my mother promptly freaked out and took me to the dentist. And they did root canals and tried to save him, but just within a little bit, they knew it was just too bad. And so I ended up having a partial. They would not give me the ones that bolted into my skull because I thought that I was going to be in the agricultural field for a long time, and they were afraid I would get injured again, and then it would break not only my teeth but my skull if I got headbutted or caught again. And I was around a lot of dangerous animals, but that was what I worked with when I was growing up because I was a farm girl. My dad was a blacksmith. So I was either in the horse barns with my dad, the cattle fields with my papa, or the draft fields, the draft mules, draft Belgians with my grandpa, or I was in lecture halls with my mother when she was getting her college degree. So I'm a very well-rounded person. But yeah, that stupid bull. Now he became a steer and then burger. So I win. And we used the other bull who actually turned out to be a much more docile bull and a much better breeder actually. So I'm happy the way it worked out. I just wished I hadn't lost my teeth in the process because that was expensive, y'all. That was some expensive crap. So I'm tough as a pine knot. So when I started to get this neuromuscular disorder, the doctor actually looked at me and he was like, well, when you consider all you've done with your life, he was like, we're probably lucky you made it as far as you did without this presenting. And I was like, yeah, probably. So, and it was actually the damage from the left leg when the boy threw the axe at me when I was a wilderness boot camp counselor, a whole different story. It was that actually prompted the neuromuscular disorder that is crippling me and affecting my digestive tract and my pancreas and my organs. So, I'm tough as a pine knot. But you know, had I had the knowledge then that I have now, I would have ducked better. So, but hey, we all learn things later in life that we wish we'd learned earlier. That's one of mine. So, but I still love cattle. I still love to walk through a field of cattle and look at them and pick out the prime cows, the prime heifers. And I mean, it's just one of my favorite things. I love to hitch up a horse team. I love to listen to the harnesses rattle. There's not any prettier sound. I hog hunted and guided hog hunts for a while and did taxidermy work and meat processing for a long time. And I also think there's nothing prettier than a pack of hounds baying something. I'm a country girl at heart. So, just because I got an education does not, it didn't turn me into a snooty old, turd. It just gave me the common sense, needed to walk through life with a little less ambiguity than others do. And so when I see other people stumbling or missing a path that may be better for them, I kind of go, hey, let me shed a couple of options of other paths for you and see if you would like to take a different one. And I don't ever push anybody and I don't ever tell anyone what to do, but I will be here to always help. I don't get to do those things anymore because of my health. Sometimes if the husband is trapping in a place that is we can drive to and is like pretty flat, he'll take me. But because the neuromuscular disorder affects my legs, I have a very difficult time. I don't know. I have like a certain amount of steps a day, and I never know when my legs are just going to go. Sorry, lady, we're done. And so it's scary to get me out too far away. So I don't get to do a whole lot anymore. And I've gained so much weight, it would not be fair for me to ride a horse right now. I'd have to piggyback it again to be fair, but um, I'd have to ride like a Percheron or a Shire. But but now when my husband takes me to like Cades Cove and stuff, he takes me on the wagon rides and he tries to put me back in that world. And if I really miss cattle, I just go down to mom and dad's cattle farm and yell at the Black Angus. So I still have outlets. I don't get to hunt anymore, and I don't get to do the things that I used to love because of this neuromuscular disorder. But I do get to help the husband with his fur sales. My hands are not strong enough to do the fleshing and stuff anymore that I used to do. But I mean, I've got some massive. You can see my calluses and stuff from where I did taxidermy flesh work, and those are from knives. And then I weave dream catchers, and my calluses they'll never go away. I still have split rein calluses where I rode split reins my whole life. So, um, life is just kind of one. You never know where you're going to end up. When I was 14, I was benching 150 and I was leg pressing 600, and I was stout. Like when my high school was going to have a powder puff game, and they said I couldn't play on the powder puff game because I would hurt the girls. It's football. Somebody's supposed to get hurt, but they would not let me play because I was too strong. According to Coach Baker, I was too strong, so I couldn't play on the powder puff game. And so I was always in this limbo land. But I worked through the big ritzy horse barns to get myself through college. And I started out in veterinary medicine. But when I married and started having children, I knew that I would never get an internship. At that time, back in those days, if you were married or had kids and couldn't be 24/7 on call, a vet was not going to give you an internship. So my second love, and all of my electives have been in psychology or law, and so I went over into psychology and a little bit of political science. And so that was my second love. So my daughter is in she is in veterinary school. She's halfway through. She graduated from UT in May, and so now she's trying to finish up. She's in Southern Georgia. So I think it must have trickled on down to her because she's just as rough and tumble as I am. A lot prettier though. So I know I was a linebacker too. I mean, the coaches were scared of me. Like I tried to lift weights with a women's weightlifting group, and nobody could even spot me. Like they wanted me to use the 45-pound bar. I was benching 150, honey. A 45-pound bar is not going to help me. I was trying to pack on muscle. I was trying to. And so they allowed me, I got a special slip, even though there had to be a female sponsor present to actually lift weights with the football team. And I could bench more than like two of everyone there. And the coach was just blown away by me. But I've always been a big old, before I was in kindergarten, I was planting tobacco, chopping, topping, and hanging tobacco, working chicken houses. So I just grew up. I grew up as a farmhand, so that's just what I did. I would have been a dang good pitcher. Now I could pitch really good, and I did get begged to pitch for Little League for like 3 years in a row. But the most that I would agree to is to pitch during the practices, and I would pitch during the practices. But I played softball and I played third base. And there's this one girl, she was about as big as me, and I guess her objective every year was to try to round and steal third base and knock me over. Like she wanted to like plow me into the fence. And every year when we'd play like 2 times, I knew she was coming after me. And Betty, we'd have a massive collision, and the crowd was always waiting for it. But she never got the better of me, but we sure knocked each other silly a few times. So, but I was, I was a big old hefty gal. Oh, I still am a big old, I'm fat and domesticated now, but I still am a big old burly woman. But it doesn't help that I'm covered in tattoos, I don't guess. But being a parole officer, I got really comfy with tattoos. So it is what it is. But y'all, when you walk through life, understand that you can find good people anywhere. I found people that have done 20 years or more in prison, come out, and be some of the best people I know. People change. People can make healthy changes at any age, after anything, after any life bobble. They can change and become better. Always hope to meet the best side of someone. And if you don't, always try to bring out the best side of them. And always try to do what is responsible if you see someone struggling or hurting. Don't do it out of a desire to get a pat on the back or a desire to get noticed. Do it because you know someone's hurting and you don't want to see them hurt. We shouldn't want to see each other hurt, and we shouldn't take enjoyment from other people's pain. And I think that's kind of what's going on here. So I just wanted to hop on and say that's kind of what I've been thinking about. And, for you people that come on here and have to be hateful, throw your vitriolic nastiness on here because it probably will slide off of me a lot quicker than it will anybody else. I think it's kind of funny. And, if you're really going to reprimand somebody, spell your words correctly. Do it, please. Impact. It requires focus. But, we need to go through life trying to put our best foot forward. And if we see someone struggling to do so, help them do the same. So that's what I wanted to say. Y'all are having really good conversations, and I really appreciate. I got to go back and watch this and look at all the little conversations y'all are having, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful when people will link up and meet other people that are going through things that they've been through, and they find someone that is a strength to them or an aid to them. That's great. Doesn't cost a thing to be kind, and normally it pays dividends later in life. So, okay, I'll leave you with that. My favorite song, if you want to go listen to it, is This the World We Created by Queen. Obviously, I'm a Queen fan. I got Freddie all over me. I've got a big, well, if y'all don't mind to see, I've got a big portrait of Freddie right there on my bicep. So if you want to hear the song that has kind of dictated my life and my perception of the world, it's Is This the World That We Created by Queen. And I'll put a link to it in the community section. Go listen to it. It'll change the way you think about things. And think about how you come across and the impact that you have on the world. Because even as small as you think you are, your impact is substantial and can benefit or harm someone. So let's try to benefit somebody. And it also will benefit you. Greatest band of all time? Absolutely. I've got Chris Cornell's signature on me as well. Got Brian May. I've got his signature. I'm actually really good friends with Peter Freestone, who worked with Freddie for the last 12 years of his life. He wrote a beautiful letter to my granddaughter the day she was born. And I have it. He sent it to me, and I have it. And I cried when I read it. And I'm going to frame it for her. Because to be in Appalachia and to know that the day you were born, someone halfway across the world in Prague was excited about you entering the world and all the things that you're going to do. That's amazing, because I grew up in these hills and sometimes felt like I was locked in them. And so I'm going to frame that and give that to her when she gets older, so that she knows on her birthday, there were so many people ecstatic about the possibilities that she has within her. And so I cried, and I told him, I said, thank you so much for that. So we've struck up this odd friendship, and we keep in very close contact. And I pinch myself sometimes to think I have him as a really good friend, but he's the most beautiful soul I've ever met. And he's just, if you don't know who Peter Freestone is, you need to go watch his stories he tells about Freddie and his interviews and stuff. He is the kindest, most soft-hearted man I've ever met. And he's like 6'4", he's huge, but he's a gentle giant. And so when he hugs you, you just get lost. But he is literally one of my best friends. And he made a really big change. I met him when I was dealing with this disorder really overtaking my body, and his comfort and love helped me through it. So that's why I'm so big on comfort and love. So yeah, celebrities are just people, and he has told me some horror stories, and that's where I get a lot of my inside glimpse. And it's kind of a sick world, and it's kind of a self, I don't know, it's kind of like a self-siphoning energy suck, celebrity status, and it's not healthy. And so that's one reason why I do worry about Ryan so much. So now I think I've answered everybody's questions or their nasty comments. So I'm going to go lay back down because I'm feeling better, but I do need my rest. And yeah, he talks a lot on the Queen documentaries. He's the big guy, really tall, normally wears like a burgundy striped shirt. He was the cook, chef, and private assistant for the last 12 years and took care of Freddie until he passed away. Was with him when he passed. Beautiful man. And I'm lucky. I'm lucky to call him friend. He is a beautiful man, like the most beautiful soul I've ever met. So, yeah, I'm terribly lucky. Maybe one day I could talk him into doing but he's in Prague, and our time schedules are, so if he calls, it's always at 9 a.m. in the morning. But maybe someday I could get him on here to do like a StreamYard join in or something. But he's just a really great guy. I used to get to see him every year until the CUF hit, and then they stopped the Queen conventions, and I haven't got to see him. But he's a sweetie pie, and if I can get his schedule to work, we might try to get him on one day. But he is like the most beautiful soul ever. So, all right, I'll put a link to the song in the community page. Just wanted to talk about these few things. So go out and rest the weekend, shine, be nice, show somebody that you love them, do something unexpected for somebody to make them smile. And yeah, go look on my other videos where I've interviewed Jordan Long, who did the 25th anniversary of Rent tour, went all around the world. His brother Jonah, who is a musical prodigy. Go down and look through my lives and some of my videos for those interviews. Those are very nice. And if I feel good, we'll do this again tomorrow. So, okay. I think I've got everything out I need to say, so I'm going to bed. Night, y'all. Thanks for joining in.